Coming up on State of Events, the latest on the Russian invasion in Ukraine.
And West Coasters will finally be able to take a breather on mask mandates. All that and coming up on State of Events. Good afternoon and welcome to State of Events. I'm Yesenia Zuniga.
And I'm Angel Gonzalez.
It's been 5 days since Russia made the first strike on Ukraine. The attack has generated repercussions that have rippled worldwide.
The front lines of the Russian invasion of Ukraine are approaching the capital city, Kyiv. Thousands of people have fled the area afraid of what could happen at the homes. CNN Matthew Chance shows us the destruction.
Right within the past few hours, there has been a ferocious battle here on the outskirts of Kiev. And this is one of those Russian Soviet-era vehicles which is completely burned out. You can see this is a bridge, actually, is an access point to the northwest of Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. And the Russian column that has come down here has been absolutely hammered. Obviously, we're still in a very exposed situation right now, but if I can just bring you along here, there's the debris everywhere, the twisted metal of these vehicles. This is obviously just a truck carrying supplies. We saw the armoured vehicle in front there. I mean, looking around, absolutely, look at this. I mean, what kind of munitions does it take to do that to a car, to a vehicle? You know, I know that I've been speaking to the local Ukrainian commanders here. They've been saying that they were using Western anti-tank missiles to attack these columns. Look, so recent the battle. This vehicle is still smoking. There's still smoke coming out the back of that. Ammunition boxes on the ground. There's unexploded grenades, you know, in various like pineapple grenades everywhere. You know, a real scene of devastation along this bridge. According to the local Ukrainian military that I've been speaking to, there were maybe as many as 10. I mean, look, I mean, this is a bit of almost a cliche, but obviously somebody's brought a memento from home, you know, and now it's scorched and lying with the debris of their, in this case, failed attack. I mean, you know, all along this bridge, which is an access point, there are these vehicles that have been hammered by the Ukrainian forces. A bit of a Russian uniform there lying on the floor. I can tell you, I toured this area earlier and there are some terrible things that we can't really show you on camera in terms of dead bodies, Russians still lying here on the ground. This vehicle here is obviously from the Russian military. It's got the letter V daubed on the side looking tape or in paint. That I think that stands for Vostok, which is the Russian word for east, which implies that these military equipment, they came from the eastern divisions of the Russian military. What I was saying there, look, as evidence, I don't want to show you this too much, but there's a body there. That's a Russian soldier that is lying there dead on this bridge. Lying there dead on this bridge as his column has attempted to drive in and been thwarted.
Here in San Francisco, local Ukrainian and friends thereof gathered in support of victims while protesting the invasion. Nearly 1,000 people showed up to the City Hall protest. Representatives of local Ukrainian community and Senator Scott Wiener were among the speakers. An organizer of the event led the crowd in a moment of silence. He also led the crowd in singing the Ukrainian national anthem. Despite the anger in the atmosphere, the overall mood was somber but peaceful.
President Biden is expected to deliver his first State of the Union address today amid national and international crises. CNN's Chris Wen has more.
And tonight's speech is set against the backdrop of the president's low poll numbers and the looming midterms. Democracy will certainly be the big focus tonight, as well as the economy. With the world focused on the Russia invasion of Ukraine, President Joe Biden's first State of the Union address could take on even greater significance. The president now facing an escalating crisis abroad as he fights political battles here at home.
President Biden has committed more security assistance to Ukraine over the past year than the United States has provided at any other time in history.
Tonight's address expected to focus on inflation and the economy as the country tries to recover from COVID-19. President Biden also set to highlight his administration's accomplishments during his first year in office. He could also talk about the recent nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to be the first black woman to sit on the Supreme Court.
His most important audience is the American people.
The speech, a prime opportunity for the president to lay out his domestic priorities for 2022.
I think the reality is that most Americans are probably paying closer attention to the cost of gas and groceries than they are to Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
Capitol Police have once again erected a fence on Capitol grounds ahead of tonight's event. The fencing, an effort to heighten security and prepare for possible protests by big rig truckers in the coming days. Police say assistance from outside law enforcement agencies, as well as the National Guard, has been requested.
I want to be very clear that we are prepared to take swift law enforcement actions for violations of our local and federal laws if necessary.
Officials have been preparing for that possible trucker convoy for more than a week. The Department of Defense has already authorized 700 members of the National Guard, as well as dozens of large tactical vehicles in the event they're needed. Reporting live in our nation's capital, I'm Chris Wynn. Back to you.
The first black female justice was recently nominated for the U.S. Supreme Court. After 200 years of existence, only 5 out of 115 justices have been women. Ketanji Brown Jackson accepted the nomination last Friday. Jackson says she hopes her life, career, and love for her country, quote, will inspire future generations of Americans, end quote. Jackson's confirmation hearing could begin as soon as mid-March and is expected to last 4 days. Jackson would replace Justice Breyer, who is set to retire this summer at the end of the court's current session.
The world of sideshows have been public eye for quite some time in the Bay Area, but not everyone shares the same excitement. Reporter Stacy Collier has more.
Thanks, Yesenia. One of the Bay Area's most problematic pastimes has become a public nuisance for one Oakland neighborhood, and they have come up with a creative and clever solution. During the day, this artsy Oakland neighborhood hosts festivals and street fairs. But these tire marks show what happens after dark in Jingletown.
The negative impact is the noise and the smoke, the smell of the burning tires, the noise that's triggering people's PTSD, people who have been in war zones that live here.
This open lot on the shoreline has become a favorite sideshow location and is rarely patrolled, but Jingletown residents came up with their own solution.
So much money raised by the GoFundMe that they actually had enough to buy. I think they're going to install more speed bumps throughout the neighborhood.
Both Elliot and Dawson Ondo agree that not only have these preventative measures brought sideshows to a screeching halt, it's also helped to foster a sense of community in Jingletown. With State of Events, I'm Stacy Collier.
Coming up after the break, California updates its indoor mask mandates in schools.
And SFSU President Lynn Mahoney speaks out about the CSU Chancellor controversy, so stick around. Welcome back to State of Events.
Things seem to be returning to normal when it comes to face masks on the West Coast. A new guidance put in place will make masks a recommendation rather than a requirement for all, regardless of vaccination status. Democratic governors of California, Oregon, and Washington announced the new indoor mask policies on Monday. Beginning Tuesday, mask mandates will loosen in California, followed by Oregon and Washington on March 12th. The new policy will also apply through K-12 schools and child care facilities. The CDC recommends masks in schools only in counties at high risks. Federal mandates will still require and apply in high-risk indoor settings.
Well, let me tell you, I'm excited to see faces again.
Oh, absolutely. I had a friend the other day and I couldn't recognize her with her mask on.
Yeah, face recognition is a real thing, and I'm excited to see all these pretty smiles and faces again.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you.
SFSU President Lynn Mahoney spoke out during California State University's Chancellor controversy. CSU Chancellor Dr. Joseph Castro immediately resigned February 17th. Castro allegedly failed to handle a sexual assault allegation against former Fresno State employee Frank Lamas. Mahoney released an email to all SFSU students addressing the issue. She said, She said she hopes CSUs will take action to assess and strengthen Title IX policies, processes for students and employees. End quote. No further comments have been made from school administration.
With football all finished for the season, as well as the NBA being more than halfway through the regular season, baseball fans are intensely watching as the MLB lock-on goes on. Reporter Trevor Ferguson has more.
Millionaires versus billionaires. This is the phrase you hear countless times when it comes to labor disputes in professional sports. However, it goes far deeper than that, with an entire industry of jobs getting displaced.
The Major League Players Association and the owners are currently in a labor dispute over the Collective Bargaining Agreement, or CBA. The CBA is a contract that expires every 10 or so years and is the determining factor of how all the money made throughout a season gets divided up between the players and owners.
I think it's both sides' fault. It's obviously a money issue from both sides. Owners they still want control. Players want a little bit more control. So it's going to cause a lot of friction and stuff on both sides. You got to hope one side will be the bigger person and just help get that big step to get this deal to happen.
Without an agreement, games can't be played and will be canceled, sometimes even resulting in an entire season being called off, as we saw in 1994 through 5. This can be tough on the pockets of players and owners. However, it can be borderline catastrophic to the estimated over 20,000 MLB employees, according to Kraft.co. And that's just MLB employees, not including the countless members that work in sports media, concession stands, and various other roles.
Because of this lockout, I definitely feel like I'm considering where I'm going with my career. And so it kind of does scare me in a way that, like, this, although it's happening right now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen in the future. And in the future, I could be, 30, 40 or something like that if I'm still working in sports, and it could be seriously affecting my job. And, I may just consider sticking with the 9 to 5 rather than, teetering on whatever the owners are complaining about.
The MLB owners set a hard deadline to have a deal done by February 28th. No deal was reached, so regular season games will officially be canceled.
I mean, I'd like to think that a deal will get done so that some games are played this year, but I honestly think it'll last into at least mid-March.
Everyone I spoke with remained optimistic about the season. However, there was one underlying theme.
As long as this lockout continues, I'm definitely won't be working.
If we don't have games to work on, we don't have money. We don't get paid.
Me personally, I won't be able to start my job on time.
Negotiations will be ongoing until a deal is reached. For State of Events, I'm Trevor Ferguson.
All you dog people, cat people, if you have a ferret or a fish or even a gator, you're in luck. Having a pet best friend could boost your brain power. A new study shows it could delay memory loss and other kinds of cognitive decline, especially verbal memory, like all the crazy nicknames you come up for your pet. However, the results are not instant. Studies authors say you gotta have a pet pal for at least 5 years or more. The big question, of course, is why? There's no clear answer from this study, but previous studies have shown the negative impact of stress on the brain, and pets can help cut that back. Yes, that even includes cleaning up after them. Coming up, we take a look at nonprofits for cats in Oakland.
And a new type of donut shop is in town, so stick around. Welcome back to State of Events. Cats have 9 lives, but Cat Town, the rescue and adoption nonprofit in Oakland, has made it 10 years. Jenny Shao has a story on how Cat Town barely survived the past year during COVID.
Cat Town has no cages and resident cats can roam freely. It provides an inviting open space for people to hang out, sip beverages, and hopefully adopt cats. Founded in 2011, Cat Town was the first cat cafe in the country. Prior to Cat Town's opening, Oakland's euthanasia rate was 42%. Since Cat Town opened, the rate is down to 10%.
They know I love cats. I am allergic to cats though, but cats is a huge means of therapy for me.
After 9 years of success, Cat Town was forced to shut down when the pandemic started. Like many other businesses, Cat Town was barely hanging on. To survive, they received grants and government support.
our community really understands our work, and that these cats don't have other places that can help them for the most part, and they want to see us succeed. So,
as vaccines started to roll out and shelter-in-place slowly lifted, Cat Town gradually reopened. However, visits are only by appointment and masks remain mandatory.
Victory Park is a quiet place that blends history and relaxation together. The park is located on Pershing Avenue in Stockton, California. Numerous landmarks occupy the area, including the Haggins Museum and the 2007 Memorial Rose Garden. Last year, the park celebrated the museum's 90th year anniversary, honoring the past of San Joaquin County. The area includes benches and landscape scenery for people to enjoy. The garden is open to the public, while the Haggins Museum costs $8 for adults and $7 for seniors. Masks are required to enter the park.
A new donut shop hit the streets of Stockton last week that has locals waiting outside to catch a bite of a different type of donut. This tiny pink shop contains a pearl necklace-shaped donut with a menu of unique flavors like cookies and cream and chocolate churro. Customers do ordering themselves on a touchscreen computer that lists fans' favorites. Manager Wen Kang says she lets the donuts speak for themselves.
So I think that's the point than the regular ones.
Donuts aren't the only thing being served up. They also have Korean rice, flour hot dogs, and bubble tea. Mochina is open for business Monday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., with hot dogs available only after 5 p.m. Well, that's a wrap for another week of State of Events. Thank you for joining us.
And don't forget to subscribe to our State of Events channel on YouTube. For State of Events, I'm Yesenia Zuniga.
And I'm Angel Gonzalez. Have a great day.